All right, aloha. I'm going to start with this because this is such a jam-packed agenda that the less you hear from me and the more we get into the folks who you want to listen to, the better. But we do want to try and stay on time where we can. And that's exactly what Representative Sayama said for me to say, so that's what I'm doing. First of all, I would encourage you to take a look at the programs that you all have. They have all of the bios for all of our speakers in there, and it's a tremendous amount of experience and expertise that are going to be a part of this event over the next day and a half. And so I would encourage you to take a look at that. I'm not going to, unless I'm asked to by a specific speaker, I'm not going to go through the entire biography for somebody. It is in here. They are, it's really remarkable career stories. I'm also responsible for telling you that the restrooms are out and to the left, and then they actually have signs over there about which they are. As well, we all have these wonderful devices called cameras that also give us calls. And so if you would please silence these or put them on stun so that we don't disrupt the operation of the event during the time. And I know that I can't tell you to not read your emails. I mean, heck, I'm going to be reading my emails. But if we could do it while it's silent, that's the way we want to do it. I'd like to thank you to, I believe it's Olelo who is here videoing this. And so really happy to have you here so that we can memorialize the efforts that are going to be here over the next day and a half. Also, thank you to our hosts. If you see the front page of your program, Representative Sayama from District 20, Representative Kong from District 33, and also Janice Coe, who we all know and love. And then the Forum Committee is also on there. We have Speaker Say, Michael Upshaw, Brad Hammond, Chung-Bok Lee, Sid Ryu, Sid Higa, Nolan Johnson, Doug McKenna, and Scotty Wong. So thanks to all of them for putting this thing together as well. And then finally, the sponsors, which were on the screen previously. Thank you to all of you for your support of this really 9th annual Hawaii Bioeconomy Forum. Just a terrific event. And then finally, I had the opportunity last week to be in Miami Beach, Florida, for the Aspen Ideas Climate second annual, as it turned out. Also, at the very same time, interestingly, in Houston, we were having the CIRA conference, which is a well-known oil and gas energy conference. And so they were kind of competing events. The funny thing about that is that both actually were covering, what we're going to do, both in terms of climate change and energy, and the fact that the intersection of those aspects, the things that are associated with that, it's really important to see what those intersections are. And then to come and be here for this next 2 days, today and tomorrow, to talk about hydrogen, but also other energy, potential energy sources, how that's going to help us in the climate battle that we have as well, but doing it in a way that's sustainable. And in sustainability, we know that that means largely a capitalistic market, right? It's the market system if you want it to be sustainable. So really interested to see all of the conversation, all of the presentations that are going to occur here. As I mentioned before, this is a jam-packed event. And so without further ado, I believe I'm 1 minute over. So at this point, I would like to introduce the next 3 speakers. We have our Chief Energy Officer for the state of Hawaii he also leads the State Energy Office. He gave up a cushy 10-year job at HNEI, Hawaii Natural Energy Institute, and that's Mark Glick. We also will then have Representative Jackson Sayama, again, District 20, representative from the state of Hawaii's House of Representatives, and then Representative Samuel Satoru Kong, who is also a representative for District 33 out of the state of Hawaii House of Representatives. And before I have Mark come up, I just want to also thank the young people that we have in the audience today from Representative Kong's office. Really thank you for being here and as we all would say, those of us that are of a certain age, we know that you are going to be carrying the future. And so the fact that you're here and of interest, plus helping with the event, if we could give them a round of applause, I'd really appreciate it. Without further ado, Mark Glick.
Thank you, Doug. Really appreciate your leadership, and it's wonderful to be here at this 9th annual Bioeconomy conference. I want to thank Janice Coe for her gracious introduction and a gracious invitation to be here. And on behalf of Governor Josh Green, who appointed me to this position just a very short time ago, I want to welcome you on behalf of the Green administration. And I think it's an apt name for pursuing clean energy and a true bioeconomy, to have Governor Green leading the green transformation of Hawaii. As you all know, I mean, one of the reasons why Hawaii is a true leader in clean energy and in energy transition is in large part because of all of you. We were, of course, a policy leader, and we were able to do a number of things, leading the country, in fact, and being an inspiration, I think, globally, by being the first state in the nation to pass a binding obligation by law to produce all of its electricity from renewable energy, and to do that by 2045. We know that on a statewide average, we're at 40%, and some of our islands are doing much greater. On Doug's Island, you know, at 60% roughly, and once geothermal's back in full production, it'll be well beyond that, with great plans to go all the way. In Kauai, of course, just reaching 70%, and really wonderful plans to move beyond that. We have an energy efficiency portfolio standard. We're not completely unique in the United States in doing that, but having that commitment by law and having the Public Utilities Commission push that is one of the reasons why we've had essentially flat demand. We've had increasing activity, but we've been able to reduce a lot of our generation need for additional capacity because we have that law. We also have pushed through the legislature efforts to truly come up with a full decarbonization plan. And we know, of course, that clean energy and bioenergy is a leading force for that. And the fact of the matter is that we're going to be able to present, hopefully, to the legislature by the end of the year a solid decarbonization plan that will be part of our efforts to be net zero through renewable electricity, but we have to go even deeper to decarbonize our economy. And in other words, sequester more carbon than we emit as soon as can be practically done. So we will present that plan by the end of the year, which will involve all of these strategies, much of what you're going to hear today in great detail. I also wanted to, I'm going to abbreviate my comments because we started a little late and because you have such exciting things to take on. But the last thing I really did want to mention is that we're truly committed to pursuing a diversified portfolio of solutions. And it's critically important that we do so to be able to, first of all, attack oil price volatility and remove fossil as much as we can, as quickly as possible, ultimately with that full decarbonization objective. But when we look at these advanced solutions, one of the things we're pursuing now, which I think is of interest to everyone here, is the role of hydrogen. And interestingly enough, there have been leaders like at Hawaii County who have made strong plans and have worked out very strong coalitions to be able to move that forward in bus transit fleets and through other operations, and to put in fueling facilities and to come up with solid plans for additional work. We've had the great good fortune to submit a concept paper to the Department of Energy for the Regional Hydrogen Hub effort, and in which 6 to 10 regional hubs will be selected with $7 billion roughly that will go towards funding those. Hawaii was encouraged to submit a full application, and that is due in 3 weeks from now. So we're busy putting together that package, but what that will allow us to do is to accelerate the pace in which perhaps a 10% or 15% solution of our overall portfolio needs ultimately can come from hydrogen realistically in a thriving hydrogen market in the Hawaiian Islands and even beyond into some of our territories. So that is evolving, and it truly can play a realistic means of supplying that renewable energy for resilience, to be able to support energy and national security, to be able to deal with high impact uses in transportation, heavy-duty fleets, buses, and so on, and certainly support our ability to provide firm energy through storage when we need it, particularly for those in remote communities, resilience hubs, and these large centers that are going to be essentially formed in microgrids that will need this firm power for some of the time, because if we provide and we count only on solar and batteries, we may not be able to handle the 24/7, 365-day year needs. So I'm very excited to be working with all of you to try to put these things together. Very excited with your strong agenda here today. And again, very happy to represent the Green Administration to kick this off today. So look forward to the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Aloha. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Jackson Sayama. I'm the State House Representative for District 20. And I just want to thank everyone for being here on this great morning. What a great way to start the day with an amazing event like this. It's nice to see some familiar faces. I know we hosted the 8th Bioeconomy Forum last year, and we were happy to host it once again this year. So like Speaker Emeritus Say had continued to push and support this event, I hope to do so moving forward. But as Mark just mentioned, Hawaii is well on its way to really achieving its goal. And with the addition of hydrogen, addition of incentives and investments into renewable energy technologies, I believe that Hawaii is looking greener and greener every day and every year. I just want to take a moment to recognize the amazing staff of Representative Kong's office and my office. We have Evelyn, who's trying to sneak out in the back, and Kevin, who's sitting in the back, and of course the interns that were recognized earlier. So please, everyone, let's give them a round of a hand for helping us set this event. So, as was mentioned earlier, we really are looking to put further investments and importance into renewable energy technologies, not only because of the environmental concerns, but also for our economy here. As we continue to say, I think many of you heard in the campaign trails, we need to diversify our economy. Well, this is what diversifying Hawaii's economy looks like. But we really can't do it on our own. It's thanks to our Trans-Pacific partners and statewide partners that we are able to pursue these projects and achieve that net zero goal that we had set forth. Hopefully, throughout this day, there's these 2 days, you'll be able to learn a few things and, more importantly, meet new people and get to know new people, because it's through these relationships at this forum that we could find new solutions, new projects that we could invest in to pursue. So I just want to thank you again for attending this energy forum, and I look forward to learning a few things myself. Enjoy.
Aloha. Are you excited to be here as much as I am? Hey, okay. The reason, and I'll tell you why I'm excited, because, we talk about going green, right? That seems to be the catchphrase of this generation. But in going green, we actually need to look at the whole process in totality. What I mean by this is, first we have to develop or manufacture the product. We have to use the product. And we also have to look at how we're going to dispose of or recycle said products. Everybody looks at the second process, right? The user. And it's great because zero emissions. Sounds good. But we need to take a look at the whole process. The first process of developing and the third process of disposing of are not so green. In fact, they're very toxic, and we know this. So that's why I'm so excited here today, because I want to hear solutions on how we're going to move forward to address these concerns, how we're going to move forward to save this planet, and how we're going to move forward to actually protect our big blue marble. So I want to thank you all for being here. God bless, and let's go to it and start this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Representative Kong. At this time, we are pleased to have someone who has been in this particular field, the field of development, in a number of ways. Dr. Sunsup Ra, who is the Chief Sector Officer for the Asia Development Bank. And his perspectives, as you could tell from the bio that's listed in the program, are built on a number of experiences that have informed his expertise in this particular area. So we are very, very pleased to have Dr. Ra speaking to us today about public-private partnerships for a net zero energy world. Dr. Ra.
Good morning. Aloha, all of you. I am not really a hydrogen expert, but I work in the development business for a long time. It's a great honor also to speak to you regarding this energy transition in the Asia Pacific, and particularly role of hydrogen, focusing on financing and business model and PPP and technologies today with you. Yep. Okay, today I'd like to talk about first energy transition challenges, particularly Asia Pacific. After that, we'll talk about changing energy landscape. And since I came from Asian Development Bank, I will talk about our energy policy and share some examples of the ADB energy, clean energy projects, and also some example on PPP. And also after that, we'll talk about on the role of the hydrogen today. By the way, many of you may not know what is the ADB about, what ADB is doing. Asian Development Bank is like many of you know World Bank, it's like World Bank, but working development field, supporting infrastructure, social development, education, and health. Also, particularly energy is very important here at ADB. We are very much working on the Asia Pacific, and we are development institute, but at the same time we are bank. So we raise the funds from the capital market. We also have about 68 members. So the biggest shareholder is the U.S. and Japan, and after followed by that China, I think the India, German, UK, etc. And in Korea, I'm from Korea. Korea is also one of the important stakeholder there. The next one, I move to the what are the important energy transition challenges? I think the previous speakers all talk about importance of the energy transition in Hawaii and also U.S. So I try to now use what the ADB president is saying. The battle against climate change will be won or lost in Asia Pacific. So Asia Pacific is such an important region when we think about the net zero or climate changes. First, when we look at it, energy access perspective, roughly about 350 million people, they don't have it, in fact, the adequate energy supply. And about 150 million people still, they don't have access to even electricity in Asia Pacific. And also, about 1.7 billion people, they don't have it also access to the clean cooking. When we look at it, energy security perspective, also the energy demand here in the Asia Pacific, doubling, doubling now in the region by 2040. So demand is explosive here. And renewable investment, that opportunity also very huge here in the Asia Pacific. But problem we are facing because of the high demand here in the energy, the 50% of the global CO2, that emission comes from the fossil oil, and then that 25% of the CO2 emissions comes from the coal power generation in the region. So, as back to what the ADB president said, the battle against the climate change will be won or lost in the Asia Pacific. Now, I just want to look at it, the opportunities and the changing energy landscape. We look at it here. First, when I look at the landscape here, there were profound changes happening in the Asia Pacific. First, as we know, the falling cost of the renewable energy that cost down significantly. And also on a good also news is that the new and emerging, the low and the zero, the carbon energy technology coming out. So we need to take advantage of this. Now go to third line here. ADB made it a very important commitment. We are now declared to be Asia Pacific's climate bank. We pledged about 100 billion cumulative the climate financing by 2030 is from our own resources. And then not only that, we also have ability to mobilize funds from the government and the other development partner and also other institutions. So we are now focusing on climate change and also low carbon and then zero carbon paths as one of the most important ADB's priority. Recently, ADB approved the energy policy. And there are around 5 important principles. Among them, 3 of them perhaps relevant in this forum. First one, second one, and also third one. The first one, I also mentioned, there's a lot of effort we have to make it to bring affordable and reliable and sustainable and also the modern energy to the people here in the Asia Pacific. Second one is that about the building a sustainable and also resilient energy future in this region. Third one, we are here together, or private sector also partners here. It's important that we work together and then also bring some reform and policy and legislation. We are here, Hawaii, also the state capital. State capital is such important because they will set the policy and act and the law to facilitate the introduction of the new technology. The risk of bringing in new technology for private sector is pretty high. It's very important to help de-risk such over the private investors. We are focusing on now, we are already implementing this energy policy. First, there are 5 fronts we are working on. First, we need to confront it, whatever we are doing, and then support our development member country so that they can really work on this, the renewable energy, and also the work on the net zero path, and then expand it, and also the increasing our investment and the leverage also financing. Now I try to introduce the 3 areas we can perhaps work on when we think about energy transition. First, up until now, ADB and many of us very much focus on upstream part of the energy. So here we worked on together. We've been working on clean the power generation, particularly solar and wind, and also we also worked on improving energy efficiency, and also we also together now try to work on alternative energy, the technologies such as hydrogen and also ammonia and methanol and other also biofuel together. But another area we can work on is that the transportation. For example, the power transmission efficiency also very important. Second one is that the gas pipeline, the leakage, we can also reduce that reduction. And also we need to also come up with the infrastructure for the alternative clean fuel, for example, hydrogen. So how we can really transport? That's another question. It's not that simple. Third one, we haven't been that much, but industry worked very much. From the development financial perspective is that the utilization. The first one here, thinking about the efficiency, the improvements for the combined the heat and the power. And also second area we can think about is that alternative energy for transport and also industry. For example, hydrogen we can use for this. We can use also hydrogen for the maritime, etc. We can think about the electric vehicle, the hydrogen, ammonia, and methanol for this perspective. And also third area we need to think about is that the alternative technology for heat pumps and also solar heating. There are more and more. I haven't touched it upon urban housing issue, not only the industry purpose, and even not only combustible engine. For some sector they use steam energy. The steam energy also there are a lot of scope we can perhaps work on to improve their efficiency. Here is some glimpse of the ADB clean energy project. It's difficult for me to see, so maybe I just, okay. Yeah, there are many here. First, just hold on a second. Difficult to. So we've been across the region working on solar and wind up until now. Recently, in the private, not just only sovereign part, non-sovereign part also actively working on also clean energy. What happened now that the ADB, before we very much work on the fossil, as you can see, but from the fossil, now that we transit, we no longer support the fossil, the fuel in the power plant, and then also renewable energy such as the hydropower, because of the environment issue and resettlement issue, it's very difficult for us to support. So now we are very much, therefore, moving to clean energy supporting. Here, even across the region, like about 10 years back, the advanced country, perhaps about 15 years back, it started in solar, but now it's 10 years back in Asia Pacific, it's really coming out. For example, in India, in the Rajasthan state, also have a big power, the solar park. They have started it, following the China. Now we are doing also big solar park project in the Pakistan, and not only such a big country, also the big investment coming from the other region, and this is now the real. Here are some example for the PPP, because many of you from the private sector. Here I'd like to introduce the one recent example for PPP. We have done PPP in the clean energy sector for long, but here is one very interesting example. Perhaps you may be interested in. In fact, as you know, Cambodia is one of the countries have the highest tariff. After perhaps Japan and some other countries like Korea, very, very high power tariff. Now what happened and then also the demand for the energy is increasing very sharply. And then this project is to develop the solar park of the 100 megawatt in Cambodia. We started it. What we have done is that in the ADB, we have 3 different parts: the PPP unit, PPP team, and another one is a non-sovereign team. Another team is the sovereign team. We 3 teams work together, develop this project, support the government to develop this project. First, sovereign one, we developed the common infrastructure facilities such as like solar park, this evacuation transmission line. And our non-sovereign part, they develop solar power generation. And we also have the PPP team specialized in the transaction. They provided the transaction advisory services so that they can structure the investment. In fact, very interesting. The bid were called from the prospective private investors in the 2 stage. The first for the 60 mega, and then the 40 mega. And then we received the record low bids for the electricity generation. That was about below 4 cents, the first one. Second one was the below 3 cents. That in fact, in the Cambodia context, that's a really record low one. Now the Cambodia building on this is very successful example. They are now the call for about 1.8 gigawatt in the solar capacity by 2030. So we came up with a new business model for the Cambodia. At the same time, now building on this success, they try to do more on this. Next example is what we are already working on, energy transition mechanism. In fact, we have launched this one last year, and then particularly focus on the retiring coal mining, retiring the coal plant. And then this is one of the mechanism we came up with, working with the private sector. So here, if you look at the first line, we have a carbon reduction fund. Look at blue one. Second one, we have the clean energy fund. The low-cost funds, carbon reduction funds, that consisting of the concessional fund and also grants from the various institution such as the philanthropy like this. They also finance us, replace the existing financing in the for GHS, the emitting asset. That's the purpose of this one. We have it not only the ordinary funding, but at the same time we have a concessional, and also we have also the grants money, and then we also have it as you can see in Cambodia cases. We have energy people. We have also finance people. All sort of the expertise we have it, and then that we structure that. We worked on this one in Indonesia. We worked on also this one in the Philippines. In the case of Philippines, we didn't really getting into the investment. In the case of Philippines, we provided advice to the government. The government, in fact, they work with the private sector. You know, they're driving this. We try to replicate this one in other countries, a few other countries, such as perhaps in India and somewhere, but it's not that simple though. The mechanism will allow the investor to secure the return on their investment at a shorter time span than originally envisaged because of the concessionary and the grants component it has it. This allows also early retirement of these polluting asset, including the power plant. Similar from the cost fund, the low cost funds like this, the clean energy funds here. That setup will able to replace the retired asset with those without and low the GHS emissions. This model can be, as I said a while ago, applied to any asset with high GHS emission. To bring down the emissions with appropriate technology and why I'm talking this one has a huge potential can be applied for even hydrogen, and then also other technology. We haven't really tried in the hydrogen because of the various reasons, but in future this is I think the one of the pathway we can work together with you and also the other government institution. So we talk about, when we go to now the hydrogen, many talks going on about the hydrogen, where we really do. The question is that where we go in hydrogen. We need to prioritize. Here, first line and second line is perhaps one we have to focus. As I said at the beginning, talk about the possible energy transition, transmission, the intervention area. The mobility is one of also very the promising area that we can go on, as you can see at the top. And perhaps the hydrogen can be used for the industry, can be used also some very particular cases for the power generation. We have some example. I put it here. The last one I picked up. We are working with also Pertamina in Indonesia, and for the intershipping arrangement, and using the hydrogen. Even not in the listed here, the Georgia, the Indian government also, they become the G20 now the host country. They show the interest on the hydrogen as a big initiative will go. They want to be the champion in the hydrogen area. And then, as you can see already, we are working with the Georgia government. So a lot of activities already going on. I think because of it's difficult to, this is a new version, I don't have it, a printed version, it's difficult to read. We are working on the various area for the research and also joint work, knowledge sharing. This is one example we also thought about in those specific context. That's the Marshall Island. And the Marshall Island has a lot of potential for the renewable energy, so the winds and other. So using that concept, we can also have it generate the hydrogen, and then that can be used for the export, and also can use for the maritime, and then so that concept we developed. I think this one already used in the case of the North Sea. So that what I try to talk to is that can be also the piloted in a certain context. For the concluding remark, I have three things here that is very important to we expanded what we are doing. Before we very much focus on only the production part of the energy, but it's important to we really transform energy utilization. And this is very important for the energy transition. Though it's now small, but it has huge potential. Second one is that the e-mobility part, the mobility part, and also industry, accelerated decarbonization of the transport and mobility, and also industry. That's very important. Here, the hydrogen can play important role, as you know. Though it's now small still, about only 50,000, I think, vehicle in the roaming around and globally in the hydrogen sector, but that can grow very rapidly. And then also here, even the maritime sector has huge potential. As you know, the Maersk already ordered about 19 methanol ships to the shipbuilder. Soon they will come. Around the 100 ship, the methanol ships will be on the sea soon. And then soon later, more than 500 ships will be around. So it's a huge potential. Already things moving that way. The civil aviation sector also, they also now have it very strict now, the policy in the EU side. And then they are asking to use the green hydrogen, right? We, ADB, as part of the IFI, we can support, number one, first the developing policy and regulation and also standard. The second one is that we also help to build the capacity in this area. The third one is that we can work directly to develop investment through PPP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ra. That was really interesting. I was actually taking some notes in case there was an opportunity in terms of the time for questions. And I guess I would actually encourage you all to make notes. There will be times when we have that opportunity to ask questions during this, and then also during our breaks and during the meal times that we have. Those times are really the opportunities for the kind of conversations that will really make this event really special as we move forward. So I'm going to embarrass my friend, Senator Tim Richards. Really glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for being here, Senator Richards. I didn't recognize you first because you didn't have your hat on. And so at this point, I'd like to take the opportunity. Next on our agenda is the Chief Business Officer for E-Combustible, Pablo Eckhart. And what they're doing is very exciting. But I'm not going to give his presentation. He's going to give his presentation. So, Mr. Eckhart, if you wouldn't mind coming on up here, please. And he will be speaking on hydrogen as a fuel substitute, the carbon-free technology that I know that they are looking at and engaging with is really something that's quite remarkable. So, please, let's give it up for Mr. Eckhart.
Aloha. Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor and a pleasure to be here today to present what is our e-combustible, revolutionary e-combustible technology. It is the first time that we presented this in public. We've been presenting our technology in large multinational corporations, but I can think of a better place to present this technology than these amazing Hawaiian Islands, one of the most impressive destinations in our planet. And I am here to give you the good news that there is a new 100% clean energy that where the long-wait energy transition can be made in a much more efficient way. I don't want to bore you with my words. This is why I think that the best way to present our technology is going to be through 3 videos. In the first video, we will expose the problem that the fossil fuels are creating in our planet. We will also present in that video what is e-combustible, our technology. In the second video, it's going to be more technical. I'll explain more in that video our technology, how it works, our technology, and why our technology differs from other. And in the third one, I have a pleasant surprise for you. Okay, so if it's possible, Mr. Sidney, can we go to the first video? Can we have sound here?
The force that drives civilization. Humans consume 300 billion kilowatts each day. Nothing on Earth is consumed more. Consumption for progress. Consumption for life. But also consumption for destruction. Humanity's quest for energy causes emissions of 90 million tons of CO2 per day.
Scientists have issued their starkest warning yet about the danger of climate change.
Damage caused by global warming seems irreversible.
Fires engulfing large swaths of the Amazon rainforest.
It seems this severe weather is not going away anytime soon.
The energy that gives us life threatens to kill our planet. What if we were able to obtain energy from a drop of water? What if there was an energy source that did not produce toxic emissions? That instead of CO2, it emitted oxygen into the atmosphere. What if it was more efficient than oil, coal, or natural gas? And that it was available anywhere. That it was safer. It was also cheaper. Is this a dream? No, it's a reality.
At E-Combustible, we have revolutionized electrolysis to obtain the most efficient hydrogen ever seen. With the water from a bottle, we can produce the energy that a human being consumes in a day. At the same time, we emit as much oxygen as a tree. Our efficiency exceeds any renewable energy and any fossil fuel. And it is certified by the global leaders in energy engineering. Our energy is 100% clean, and adaptable to any thermal or electric industrial application, something not possible with any renewable source so far. Our pioneering technology is being implemented in large companies in America, Asia, Africa, and Europe. And our costs and prices are lower than those of any other energy.
A different progress is possible. Do you want to change the world with us?
Thank you. Mahalo. Well, as you had seen in e-combustible, we have created, we have developed, researched, commercialized, and patented what we said that is the most efficient thermal energy in the world. It is 100% clean energy. Our molecule of the fuel is just containing hydrogen and oxygen, so there is not carbon at all in our energy. Most importantly, we can replace 100% of any fossil fuel. We can replace natural gas, we can replace propane, we can replace LNG, LPG, you name it. We can replace also coal if we adapt the application to adapt to the gas, which is not the difficult one, and pretty much we can replace any fossil fuel. And the main thing is also that we can replace it and we can use our energy, our new fuel, we can use it in any industrial application and without having to do no modification at all with the equipment of the customers. We don't have to change anything in their boilers, in their ovens, in their dryers, in anything, in the turbines, so we can use exactly the same equipment that they are using. So now we are going to do the same, if it's possible, Sydney, with no sound there because it's not going to sound the voice probably. We are going to show you in the second video how our technology works. Okay, 1 second, Sydney, let me pull up this video. Did you listen before? Well, could you hear the voice of the video? Yes. Yeah. Good. So let's try. Let's do. Shall we go? Sing? Thank you.
Our world runs on energy. E-combustible is a wholly new fuel. It is efficient and sustainable while being environmentally friendly. A fuel based on hydrogen and oxygen, with a greater heating power and 100% free of carbon emissions, that completely replaces natural gas, propane, and other fossil fuels in thermal processes. E-combustible is the outcome of 14 years groundbreaking innovation that have allowed us to develop the most efficient way to transform water into energy. E-combustible's energy characteristics can be customized, and for this reason can be adapted so that it can be used in most existing equipment with no modification. And it does not need to be transported over long distances, allowing further elimination of carbon emissions associated with the life cycle of fossil fuels. E-combustible's fuel production process uses electrical energy to convert water into fuel through a special and enhanced electrolysis process, subsequently transforming conventional hydrogen with electromagnetic pulses to generate a fuel with unprecedented efficiency. Water, H2O, is processed in a treatment plant where elements such as heavy metals and lime are removed. Then, it enters the system where it is separated into hydrogen, H2, and oxygen, O2. The process of water decomposition takes place in the e-combustible skids. Each skid contains 36 cells, and each is powered by electrical pulses at special frequencies that significantly reduce energy consumption. Our patented electrolysis process is much more efficient than conventional electrolysis and provides hydrogen and oxygen with special characteristics that will allow, later in the process, the formation of the e-combustible. The hydrogen then passes through a magnetic reactor that calibrates the hydrogen molecule's characteristics to generate fuel with a customized and greater heating power, as well as enhanced combustion properties compared to conventional hydrogen. Two buffer tanks separately store the production of oxygen and more efficiently produced our unique hydrogen ready for use. The hydrogen and oxygen is then transported along separate pipelines to the point of usage in the burner, where they rejoin to form the final molecule of e-combustible, a fuel source with greater heating power and enhanced properties that produces only water steam as a byproduct. The production process for e-combustible obtains vastly more energy from water than the energy used to generate it. A clean and efficient fuel that in its combustion only releases water steam, completely eliminating carbon emissions. And for its efficiency and being able to replace up to 100% of traditional fossil fuels, represents a historical transformation in the processes of thermal energies. A new way to move the world. Do you want to change the world with us?
Mahalo. Mr. Sidney, would you mind to go to the first slide of the presentation? I don't want to go deeper on the technology or be very technical on this, but I think that it's important, just one slide to explain why, no, that's the other one, why e-combustible is different than regular molecular hydrogen. The hydrogen that everyone is talking in the world, just for clarify this, when in Europe and in the States and in many other countries, governments wants to go with the hydrogen, they are talking about molecular hydrogen. Our hydrogen, even if our fuel is just hydrogen and oxygen, our hydrogen is different than that molecular hydrogen. Here we certify, one of the most difficult parts of our project was to certify our energy. We've been able to do so with two main companies well known in the States, Sargent & Lundy and Intertech, and they get the characteristic of our fuel. And if you see here, the main difference is that when we talk about the molecular hydrogen, the calorific value in the molecular hydrogen is 275, it's around 275 BTU per square feet. And when you go to the e-combustible, we have a range that it depends of the frequency that we apply. We patented many different frequencies. Depending on the frequency that we apply, depending on the temperature that we apply those frequency, and depending on the time that we apply those frequency, we can have a range that goes from the 275 BTU per square feet to 3,400, which is massive. So in the same cubic meter of molecular hydrogen, when you compare with the same cubic meter of e-combustible, we have way more energy in our fuel than the one in the molecular hydrogen. And because we can apply we can adapt the fuel to different calorific value and different density, as you can see here, we can imitate exactly the same than the natural gas or the propane, and that's why we can replace 100% of the fuel, and we don't have to do pretty much or no modification at all with the application of the customer. And that's very important to understand. When we talk about the molecular hydrogen, there are two main, I would say, problems to highlight. One is that with the molecular hydrogen, is way more expensive than natural gas because it's not efficient. The second problem is that you can replace just 3% or 5% of the gas that they are using at the moment without doing no modification to the customer. In a turbines, maybe you can go up to 20 or 30%, or if it's a 100% hydrogen turbine, then you can replace that. But in all the system equipment, you can only replace very little with the hydrogen. And we solved those two main problems with our energy. So every time that Every time that there is someone, an institution or a private company that is presenting to us a new clean energy, a new energy that where they can obtain more energy than the one that they had been used in the process. Every time that they do that, for example, I remember a couple of months ago, it was all over the world, that they were presenting the fusion. And the fusion energy, after they surprise us with the great news that they have, it starts to begin to raise the bad news. And the bad news is that they need large amount of money to develop in the following years for those technology. It is also that sometimes it's not 100% clean, and there is a ways that you have to treat it. Sometimes that the 100% of the energy is just for electricity. I don't know if you are aware, but in the world, in the total energy in the world, pretty much 80% of the energy in the world, the one that is causing this problem of the carbon emissions, it's thermal energy. It's not electricity. Electricity just represents 20% of the total energy in the world. And this fusion, for example, technology is just for electricity. It's not for thermal energy. And then when they historically achieve this milestone to create more energy than the one that they use in the process, it's just only for nanoseconds. It's less than, they can do it, but in less than 1 second, so you cannot apply commercially. So at the end, what they said is that all this kind of energy, it's gonna take like 15 or 20 years to be implemented if everything goes well, okay? So I said to you that I am gonna have a third video, and the third video is gonna be a surprise, okay? A pleasant surprise for you. So this is gonna be the third one. So Mr. Sidney, we will have to coordinate again. Let me just pull up my third video. Let's go.
E-combustible technology is now a reality.
E-combustible is now a reality. E-combustible is a brand new hydrogen-based fuel. It completely replaces natural gas and other fossil fuels in thermal processes and is 100% free of carbon emissions. E-combustible fuel is generated through an improved and patented electrolysis process with fuel generation equipment installed within the same plant as the ceramic production centers. The efficiency of e-combustible production is superior to any other electrolysis technology, thus reducing energy costs for PAMESA, resulting in significant savings compared to natural gas. The characteristics of e-combustible fuel are variable and can be configured so that it can be used in existing equipment without modifications. Additionally, because it does not need to be transported over long distances, it allows for a reduction in carbon emissions associated with the life cycle of conventional fuels. The combustion process of e-combustible containing only hydrogen and oxygen generates water vapor emissions, completely eliminating carbon emissions. The PAMESA e-combustible plant is now operational. It is a reality that replaces fossil fuels, reduces costs, and invests in safety, reliability, and the future.
Do you want to change the world with us?
So when we talk about, thank you. When we talk about e-combustible, we are not talking about that this is going to be an energy of the future. This is not going to be in 15, 20 years from now. This is not that we have to implement hundreds of millions or thousands of millions to keep developing the technology. So this is something that is real, and it's happening, and it's now in operation. Just to give you a brief of what is PAMESA Group. PAMESA Group is the largest industrial natural gas consumer in Spain and the third largest in Europe. and they consume around 1 gigawatt or 1,000 megawatt of thermal energy every year, well, every hour. So at the end, I think that there are no more excuses not to go carbon-free when you have technologies like a combustible. So the question here is, do you want to change the world with us? Mahalo.
Let's give it up for him again. First of all, you had to figure out how to make that work too, right? Well done. Right, so I know that Pablo is going to be swarmed by everybody that wants to talk to him now. So we've got a break, about 10-minute break. So we'll see everybody back here. Why don't we make that at 10:20, and we'll get started again at 10:20. Thank you all.